Some job seekers aren't getting Botox injections, they're giving their resume some Botox.
Okay, a growing number of workers are trimming dates, shortening their experience, and removing older jobs, all in an effort to look younger to employers.
All right, so joining us is our chief business correspondent, Taylor Young. Taylor, what exactly is resume Botox?
Yeah, this is basically cosmetic work for your resume. So
okay.
Career coaches and industry experts are seeing a growing number of job seekers, specifically millennials. So people in their 30s and 40s, they are removing their graduation dates. They're removing and cutting older jobs from their resume or shortening their work experience, really to kind of avoid looking too experienced or too, and I'm going to use quotations here, too old to people who are hiring, right? And the goal really isn't necessarily to cut down on qualifications. It's really to get past that first screening and kind of get in front of another human being. But I do think this is another kind of result of showing just how competitive the job market is when you have 30s and 40-year-olds now kind of being hyper vigilant about how they're appearing on their resumes.
First of all, you look straight at me when you did the old quotation marks. It's okay, I deserve it. Is ageism really a thing for these young of workers? That's crazy.
Well, I think this is what's really surprising about this trend, because a couple of years ago, I sat down with a gentleman. He was in his 60s and he was dealing with this. He kind of showed me his resume and how he removed all of the dates just because he wasn't getting any kind of clicks on his resume or his job applications. But now we're kind of seeing this kind of growing concern with younger workers really in their 30s and 40s. And, you know, it's a lot of what the thought process is that these people in their 10 to 15 years into their career, maybe they're looking to job hop, they're now competing with younger workers who may take lower salaries. They may be willing to work longer hours because they don't have families or kind of outside things that are tying them down. And in some cases, I mean, younger workers who just graduated from college, they're up to date on the newest technology. So I think a little bit of these 30 and 40-year-olds are kind of saying, well, I can't compete with the qualifications of people in their 50s, so I might as well kind of try to blend in with people who are younger. But yeah, again, I think that this kind of shows, again, how the job market is changing, how it's extremely competitive, and it's making people be just hyper aware of how they appear on their resume. But I do think bottom line is that a survey by Resume Now showed 90% of people 40 years and older have either experienced age discrimination in the workplace or have witnessed it. So people are becoming aware of that.
Interesting, because I'm a millennial. When I was applying to jobs, you needed work experience.
Yeah, you wanted to look older.
But you wanted to look older. You needed work experience to get an entry-level job, and I had no work experience.
Yep.
This is the work experience. So this is confusing to me, but is this really a good strategy?
I think it is, to a point. So there are a lot of career coaches out there who actually recommend removing graduation dates, kind of things that aren't necessarily like the jobs that you worked maybe before college, right? I mean, I think the last time I made a resume was 6 years ago, but maybe there were some things on there that were probably too old that a career coach would say, you should probably cut that. But there's also to a point, right? Because you don't want to create resume gaps that are going to maybe bring more questions than answers, or cut any kind of qualifications that might actually help you land the job. But I do think that AI has to be brought up in this conversation, because today, you know, the hiring process, a lot of it is through AI, and a lot of these systems, just through the research, they really kind of favor the candidates who only have 10 to 15 years experience on their resume. So if you have 30, 40 years of experience, I mean, you might just automatically be kind of not picked up in the system, which I think there's an argument is that age discrimination in and of itself. So I think what we're seeing is just people being more aware, because of how hard it is to land a job, just the hoops they have to jump through in order to land that first interview.
Nice.
I mean, I can Botox my resume all I want. I show up in person, they're going to see gray in the beard. They're going to know this cat's been around a while, for sure. I love it. Great stuff. Taylor, thank you very much. Interesting. All right.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.